Okay, welcome back to Behind the Seal. I'm Elizabeth and this is Paige, and we're kind of summer hosting through our internship a lot of these podcast episodes, and this is one of our last ones, so I'm getting kind of sad about that. But yeah, the Behind the Seal podcast is the Missouri Secretary of State's official podcast, and today we're going to be talking about one of our biggest divisions here, the Securities Division. We're so grateful to have our Commissioner of Securities here with us today.
Yeah, so first off, we want to get to know you a little better. So could you tell us a little about your career, your time in the House of Representatives, and just what's led you to where you are now?
Sure. So my name is Michael O'Donnell. I'm the Securities Commissioner for the state of Missouri. I've been in the securities industry for over 30 years, the bulk of that time as a fixed income trader, a bond trader. Little side note, that career put me in New York on 9/11. I was supposed to be at the Trade Center that day to see a friend I had traded with for a long time. And before I left for the Trade Center, the first plane hit, and unfortunately he was killed that day. And I came home from that experience feeling like I should be doing something. I fought it for a while because it didn't make sense. But ultimately, at the age of 36, I enlisted in the United States Navy and continue to serve today. I've served in both Iraq and Afghanistan, and I continue to serve today. I'm a lieutenant commander in the U.S. Navy Reserve.
Wow. In
2018, I ran for the Missouri House of Representatives for the district that's the southernmost part of St. Louis County. Oakville, Melville is the area folks would know. I won took my seat in 2019. Enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. Served as the vice chair and then ultimately the chairman of the Financial Institutions Committee. Worked a lot on utility legislation as well. Really enjoyed that. It was really kind of using a different part of my brain, and had a lot of fun with that. And won re-election to my last term last year, and not long after taking my seat for my last term, the secretary appointed me to serve as the Securities Commissioner. That was back in January. So that's kind of how I got to where I am today.
So cool.
My kids call me a workaholic. I don't know. I just kind of always looked for challenges and things to do, and it's just kind of where I am.
So kind of shifting over to the securities aspect at its base level, could you just explain in the simplest of terms what the Securities Division here does? Because I don't think it's super common knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. We focus on investor protection, investor education, combating fraud, things like that, and helping people that are in the industry through examinations and through registration make sure they're compliant with the law, because it's not always intuitive how to do that. So we have folks that are on the phone with people who actually do the business every day, just understanding what do I need to do to get right with the law and be compliant with Missouri state statutes. So.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that's interesting is Missouri is one of only 8 states that has their securities regulations inside the Secretary of State. But we're not alone, but it's not that common. A lot of them might be under their Division of Finance with their insurance and their banking, but we're kind of this anomaly that has it headquartered in the Secretary of State's office.
So for those who might not be familiar with the Securities Division, what are kind of the 4 core missions?
So we've got registration, which is composed of 2 parts. It's registration of the people that are actually doing the business. So your investment advisor or your broker, they have to register with our office in order to do business in the state. Also, there's certain securities, so stocks, bonds, mutual funds, that actually have to be registered in the state. So that goes under our registration section as well. Our enforcement division is the folks that do investigation of fraud. So if you think you've been defrauded in some kind of securities incident, you would reach out to our office and our investigators would take it from there. And then our examination section. So before I mentioned all of the folks that actually do the business in the state, we go in just like you have bank examiners. We go in and examine their books, make sure they're complying with the law, help them get get things right and make sure they're doing the right things for their customers, make sure they're not overcharging fees, that sort of thing. And then the last component is our investor education. And those folks go out on the road a lot. They'll go to different expos and things like that and set up a table and talk to people. And that's a lot of times how we find out how that there's kind of connectivity between them and enforcement. Find out that they've been scammed, and so they help them understand how to reach out to our office, how to file a complaint, that sort of thing. Also, how to check. So, how to check on a broker. So, you've got somebody that you think you want to do business with, that you want to help manage your finances. You can check to make sure that they've got a good, clean record. Make sure that they're not under any investigations or anything like that. And so those folks are out there kind of pushing those resources so people make the best decisions with their finances.
Yeah, so it's a very specific division here at the Missouri.
Very specific. And I think the thing that's frustrating on the enforcement side, we'll see things come in. We'll get complaints that come in. And unfortunately, we can see that something's going wrong, but it's not us. So it might be something that is like the abuse of a senior. So that goes to the Department of Health and Senior Services, or something that's some other kind of crime. And so our investigators down there are eager to get the bad guys, but in a lot of cases they're not able to do anything other than sort of pass things on, because they don't necessarily fit, like you said, our very tight scope.
Yeah, so you get a lot of stuff that might not necessarily be something you guys work with.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and unfortunately, some of the stories are really sad too. We had a lady reach out to us, and you probably think, it's sad if somebody loses all their money, but this lady took it to the next level. She ended up taking out a home equity line of credit. She ended up taking out cash advances on credit cards. So she put herself into serious debt, and the whole thing was a scam. And so it was just to hear her story was so sad. It wasn't something, it was a crypto scam, so it wasn't really something that we deal with in securities. We had to send it to the commodities futures trading compliance folks, and they kind of take that from there. But these stories are really sad. Another story that was shared with me is a lady that lost her life savings, and now she works part-time at Menard. She's in her 70s when she should be spending time with her grandkids.
Yeah.
She's working at a hardware store, to kind of fill the gap that her savings would have done if she hadn't been scammed.
Wow.
It's
So it's really important to kind of be pushing that education side so that people know.
You're exactly right. And that was kind of my vision when I came into the position, that the best defense is a great offense. If we can the best offense is a good defense. I don't know which it is.
Whichever.
But if we can make Missouri investors smarter, then when that call comes in that you think what you normally might have thought was a legitimate offer, you might think twice and say, I wonder if this is a scam. Just that moment of clarity to push back on those things. We tell seniors, if you don't recognize the phone number that's calling you, if it's important, they'll leave you a message.
Yes.
Don't answer it. There's a good chance it's somebody trying to scam you.
Yeah, especially in this day and age, it's definitely different than anything that could have been happening a while ago too.
Right.
It's a totally different arena. Yeah.
We want them to be on guard, ask questions, be suspicious.
Be looking for that type of thing.
Exactly, because it's there, it's out there.
It's
billions and
very
billions
much
of
out
dollars are lost. Billions of dollars are lost every year by Americans from fraud.
So what are the really common types of investments fraud, or just fraud in general, that Missourians should be aware of that you see the most?
So probably, and it's really sad, but probably the thing that we're seeing the most lately is attacking seniors. So seniors are they're a target-rich environment, as we say in the military, because they have saved up for retirement in anticipation. So they have a lot of money. Young folks like you know, in school.
Exactly.
You know,
Not.
I'm not going to call you to try to scam, you know, $1 million out of you because you just don't have it, you know. And so they are, you know, they're good targets for scammers, and they're not as sharp as they used to be. And so we want them to be, you know, to be that sharp and engaged, and they tend to be trusting. You know, and that's
They're so
that's
nice.
yeah, they're so nice, and that's
nice.
the problem. These people play on that. They take advantage of that and take advantage of them. So that's probably the area we're seeing the most. Probably the other place, and it's just as sad, is romance scams. So you know, you might get a text, or you might get a text like the one I described earlier, and it turns into this relationship or this friendship.
So weird.
Yeah, it's so weird. But some of these folks are lonely. You've got people that have lost their spouse of decades, and they're really lonely, and this person reaches out, and you start having this conversation with them, and there's a connection, you're kind of filling that lonely void, and suddenly, you know, the conversation turns to, oh, I'm just so excited. I've had this great experience in this crypto investment I'm doing. Just, you know, I've doubled my money. You know, you should put a little money in and see if, you know, same thing can't happen. And they get these folks to slowly trust them and eventually get to the point where the person doesn't have any more money to invest or to give to them for this scam, and then they ghost them and go away. And it's so sad, because not only have they lost all this money, but this person that they thought that they were emotionally attached to has now ripped their heart out as well. It's really, really sad.
That is awful.
Yeah. And I feel like with the elderly too, this is like she said, with the whole different arena. Like, this isn't, the things that we have now with technology are not things that they grew up with.
Exactly.
So like with AI and like with people being able to text them with their first name and like have conversations, it's like all new.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, they have, or the scammers have an unfair advantage, because they know that
They
stuff,
do.
and they're taking advantage of the fact that our seniors haven't had the experience with that stuff yet.
Yeah.
Is there, like, what can people do if they think that they are experiencing investment fraud or someone's trying to scam them?
So reach out to our office. So file a complaint with our office. So on the Missouri Secretary of State's webpage, sos.mo.gov, when you open up the homepage, at the top you'll see Investor Protection. Just click on that link, and we've got all kinds of resources in there. But one of the primary links is file a complaint. We want folks to be able to do that, and simply fill out the form, give us as much information as you can, and then our investigators or one of our paralegals will follow up with them to ask more questions and to get more details, and then they can kind of figure out, is this something that belongs to us? Is this something that needs to go somewhere else? Does it need to go to the Attorney General or Department of Health and Senior Services, or does it need to go to one of our investigators? And then those folks begin to dig in. One of the tools that we have, and it's I'm kind of excited about it because it was something that we passed out of the legislature when I was there. I remember this legislation moving through the Financial Institutions Committee. It actually allows if an investment advisor thinks that there's something suspicious going on with an account, they can actually freeze transactions. So if you've got grandma who's got these transactions that are normally going out to cover her expenses, and suddenly there's a $100,000 request. They don't just click OK and send it off. They reach out to grandma, and if they're not sure grandma knows what's going on, hopefully grandma has designated with that advisor what we call a trusted contact. And this is the legislation that we passed, creating this trusted contact. You as an investor can designate someone as your trusted contact. This person doesn't have access to your accounts. They don't have the ability to do anything, to even see your accounts. This is just someone to reach out to that person. Hey, I've been trying to reach your mom, but can't get hold of her. There's something going on in her account, and we just wanted to make sure she's okay. And maybe the response from the maybe they've designated, she's designated her son or her daughter as her trusted contact. They could say, oh yeah, mom's in the hospital, but we can talk to her and get her in contact with you, or whatever. Or no, mom's fine, we don't know why she's not calling you back, or whatever. And to get that family member engaged. We had a case where we had someone that was clearly being scammed by someone. and so the firm engaged the trusted contact, and that trusted contact then reached out to that person, because it wasn't even an investment scam. It was a contractor that was taking advantage of an elderly couple, and the trusted contact reached out to that contractor and got that all cleared up, so that the family didn't lose money. So we've got some great stories in there as well. As sad as some of them are, we have cases where people are actually able to
prevent
it or to take corrective action. So,
is there an easy way that you would explain to people so that they can verify if something is legit, like if an investment opportunity or something that might seem fraudulent is legitimate?
Absolutely, yeah. So probably the best place to do that, you can probably weed out 99% of your problems if you just make sure that the person you're talking to is actually registered to give investment advice, is registered to sell investment products.
Okay.
And the simplest way to do that, you just Google broker check. And when you get in there, you can type in the person's name and look at the details of that person, double check to make sure that the address is correct. And then you can actually look to see if they have a history of doing bad things, or actually the most telling thing is you search and search and search and still can't find this person. That should be a red flag. At that point, maybe reach out to our office. Give us a call. Our registration folks will be happy to help you look, just to make sure. Maybe you typed something wrong, or maybe you've got a name wrong, but we can help you dig in to confirm that maybe you've got somebody that's trying to scam you. In some cases too, you might look at it and say, well, this person is actually registered. They are in this database, but I'm looking at their history, and they've got this history of complaints and this history of regulatory actions against them. I would think twice
Maybe
about
not.
it. Yeah,
Maybe
there are so many. There's over 200,000 people who are registered to do business in investments in the state of Missouri. Now, not all of them are located in Missouri, but so you could be an investment advisor that lives just across the state line in Kansas, soliciting someone in Missouri, but they have to be registered in Missouri in order to do that. But like I said, there's over 200,000 people that are registered to do business here. So chances are you can probably find somebody pretty good without chasing that scam that you might be being set up for.
Good info, I would say.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about what the public can do if they think they're getting scammed, but are there any resources that we haven't talked about that the public would want to use if they think that they're maybe being scammed but aren't sure?
Sure. So we've got a lot of resources out on our website. So again, sos.mo.gov, and then at the top, just Investor Protection. Inside of that structure, we've got all kinds of tools out there. I think we've even got a link to that broker check website. So that's all there. But different resources, questions you can ask if you're interviewing an investment advisor, those types of things out there. So we've put those resources out there, and we refer people to those a lot, just to help them understand and talk intelligently with a financial advisor.
Yeah. Right, and then they can research that themselves, learn.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just make themselves a little smarter.
So I guess we've kind of talked about the advice you'd give to someone if they think they've been targeted is to reach out to your office
For sure.
and check that broker check website. But is there anything else that someone who, I don't know, it can happen so quickly. Someone can just be on their phone and be like, oh, sure, here's my bank account information, or here's, I don't know what else, my credit card number. So is there, immediately after, what should they do?
I would say first off, stop and think before you do those things. That's the key. If it sounds too good to be true, there's a pretty good chance that it is too good to be true and you're about to be scammed. I think the best I could offer is reaching out to our office. We'll kind of be the air traffic controller to help you figure out where it's supposed to go. If it's us, we're eager to get into. We've got some really great investigators that do some really good work and really dig into what's going on in a lot of these cases. So that's what I would recommend.
Which is great because like we mentioned, not every state has a securities department within their secretary's office. So it's so awesome to have that opportunity to be able to reach out to the state for help and everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I think kind of building off of that, if someone's in a situation where they actually do give out that information, but then are kind of thinking about it after, what would the steps be there to kind of like, I don't know if you can really reverse it that much, but what should they do in that situation?
There's a lot of things you can do if you act quickly. So, putting a freeze on your credit. So, the three credit agencies, it's easy to get on their websites, and everyone should have accounts on it that's locked on your credit, so people can't charge, take out credit cards in your name or that sort of thing. The other thing is too, if you think you've been scammed, reach out to your bank. They can put a freeze on your account. Reach out to your brokerage firm if you think someone's going to come after money in your brokerage account, or let them know that you think you've made a mistake, and you can call your advisor up right away, and they can help you figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay. So as we wrap up here, is there anything else about the job of commissioner, the securities division, or anything at the Missouri Secretary of State's office that you would like to talk about or tell anyone about, advice?
No, I'm enjoying the job. I think it's a fun opportunity. I'm excited to be here. I gave up my seat in the House to do this, but I think this is a noble cause, and I enjoy being able to use my 30 years of experience to help Missourians, whether they're investors or otherwise. So yeah, I appreciate the time and letting us share kind of our mission and how we can interact with the public.
For sure. I think it's so helpful for everyone to learn all about this. I know I've learned more.
Me too.
In the last 20 minutes than I even knew the whole summer.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you for sharing all of that and for coming on to Behind the Seal.
Yeah, tune in for our last summer episode the next couple of weeks. We'll be doing one more. So, yeah.
You guys are doing great. We'll be sad to see you guys go.
I know, we will too. Thank you.